trying to find out if it's... Oh, Odin. Odin, am I allowed to talk? Whoops. All right. Welcome back. So you got to sit with my favorite koan currently. Only for the last 5 years, but, you know, anyway. So step by step in the dark, if my foot's not wet, I've found the stone. There's a lot of places you go with that. And I said during the meditation, you know, the way that things come out of nothing and then they go back into it. And that's one of the ways it, you know, it appears. There's also, one of the things I have been thinking about is the prose, but so one of the metaphors for me, somebody pointed out water at 32 degrees either freezes or it melts, but it's completely unpredictable what any particular molecule of H2O will do at 32 degrees. It's a wild situation. Something about water responds, just like for us, like certain situations, things are changing. You know you got to do something, but you feel exactly like a water molecule at 32 degrees. You have no idea what you're going to do. You know, clearly you can't keep doing what you're doing. And were you frozen and you have to melt? Were you melted and you have to freeze? You know. So they call those complex systems. But so when you're inside one of those, and we're inside those all the time, but sometimes they're not full of suffering. Sometimes we just have no idea, you know. You just picked which movie to go to and it was really not that bad. But other times the world is, there are so many currents and there's so many apparent catastrophes to either avoid or cause. There's so many inner pressures to do with this or to do with that, but those two things are in conflict with each other, you know. You may, you know, love something and hate something at the same time, you know, full of forgiveness and revenge. You know, I could go on, you all could. It's interesting. So this koan takes you to that place of uncertainty and kind of shows you what it's like. And we've all crossed streams, mostly not with our eyes closed, but it's almost all, you know, it's always a little dicey to get across a stream. You're not really trying to just get your feet wet. Things wobble. And it's nice the if in the koan too. If my foot's not wet. The assumption is that your foot's wet some of the time. I mean, the koan is like, your foot must not be wet because you must find the proper stone. It's you can tell, and you're allowed to feel around for it. You're allowed to have soaking wet socks too. So that was. I often use this koan. This koan is the. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I start to feel kind of acutely aware of myself as being strange, as like not wanting to blend in, but I don't think I do. Stranger in a strange land. This koan works really nicely for me because it brings me back to, I really just have one job, and it's to take the next step, and that's what this is like. And then there's another one. It's also a koan, I think, one of the major complex systems in my life right now is I've got an 85-year-old dad who's been going downhill for a long time. Well, getting goofier, you know, but like this, and then there was a fall, and there was the line changed. It went from, you know, like, shouldn't he have remembered that thing I said, to like really, really huge changes every day, and that's been going on for a couple months, maybe 3. And I love him very much, and we always, there's decisions to make all the time, and the decisions, unlike, you know, a baby that's born and everything is toward a development, this is toward a change in the other direction. So they're hard to imagine in advance, although they seem to happen anyway. And that's good to notice. Like the thing that was unthinkable a month ago, that he would move out of his house and, you know, find himself in some place where there were bars on the bed, you know, that it's the most obvious thing in the world now. It's just not. It seemed hard, and it's not. And that's okay. That's kind of good to notice. That the other thing I'll say about complex systems like this, it's nice to give it to yourself that if you can't find the right decision to make, that's because there is no right decision to make. And once you get, you know, you will have made a decision at some point. So, and that'll turn out, you know, either your foot's wet or not, but you'll do something. The other thing I noticed I liked and came to mind was that way that you fetch around in the dark and something appears out of nothing, and something miraculous appears out of nothing. The other, I guess, like 4 days ago, I was in Los Angeles with my niece and with the family, and we ordered food. My stepmother gave us, just sort of dropped a menu. She said, "You don't have to order from this place, but it's really good. It's a fancy place." We just got like a bunch of cool stuff and brought it home, and it was late, and my dad was at the table in his normal seat, and we had this really good food, and it was a celebration. It was really lovely, and his night caregiver appeared, and we were still eating dinner, which never was going on at that time. So she joined us, and we were laughing, and we had cookies and chocolate, and at a certain point, I was adjusting his wristwatch or putting it back on or something, and he started telling me a story, and it was like he was telling me about something to do with wristwatches and watch bands and his experience in his life of his watches. And he's a scientist, and he loves the design of things. He has always loved how things are put together, and he's the sort of person that when he was a teenager, he probably took a watch apart and put it back together again, you know, blindfolded or something. Anyway, so he started looking, sitting right here, and his voice has gotten real soft now, but he started telling me a story about his watch. And there was this delight in his face, and I was listening so carefully, and there wasn't really any content that you could follow, but you know, it just didn't matter, because it was the conversation, the old conversation, the way he always used to talk was right there. I was like, oh, that just appeared out of the dark, and I was like, it felt like such a gift. This may be the last time I get to have this conversation with him, but it came up, and it was so delightful. And we just, you know, and Alexa in the other room was playing some sort of a playlist that makes you happy, and you know every happy song that you've ever heard of is, and no Frank Sinatra, thank God. And you know it was like, it was Good Day Sunshine. I haven't heard that song forever. And anyway, we just everything kind of, all the molecules lined up. The crystal made itself. We had this beautiful moment. So that's the kind of thing that's, you know, sometimes it's just like, oh, I just need to take the next step. And sometimes the next step is just this amazing surprise. So that's all for me for right now. But I just wanted to say, like, I guess these koans are meant to be used. You use them in meditation, you use them, you know, they can be a really good friend, and they can help make a frame for something that's like, oh, the world is like that. It's relatively kind, and you have some part in it, but step by step. So I'm curious what, I noticed conversations in the room. Often the conversation that bubbles up during the break is like what the koan and the meditation kind of made something happen or whatever. So anyway, what are you noticing? Where are you needing to find, how are you trying to find places to put your foot, or what turned up in the meditation? What is it? Yeah.
I just want to thank you for touching on like the gratitude piece, because I was thinking like, okay, even if you get your foot wet, that's okay. You're going to find the stone again and again and again in the dark. Like there's always going to be that next stone, but I was kind of taking it for granted. Like just trusting that the stone will appear. But then you pointed out, that's a miracle. Be grateful for that. Be thankful for every stone along the way, because it will come again and again. And that was one piece that I hadn't considered when I was doing the meditation. It was more like that sense of the trusting and the knowing and the yes, it will come, and it doesn't matter if your foot gets wet.
Yeah.
So that's what it's this.
The miracle of it, yeah, the way that things come out of nothing. That's,
and that will be there.
Yeah,
again, and again, when you don't expect it, or maybe when you do expect it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter when.
And rarely what you expect.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could be a wobbly stone.
You bet.
It's a stone, and your foot's not wet, and maybe you didn't expect it, but it's still good, and it's still an opportunity to be thankful and grateful. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank
that
you.
Just like added like the cherry on top for stuff that I was thinking about earlier.
Thanks. So what else did you get?
So the last couple of weeks I've been needing to worry about a friend's situation and make some decisions, because I'm responsible for this person. And so there's just been like days of utter confusion and like not knowing what way to go. And then twice now, there's been other days when all of a sudden I had absolute clarity. I knew exactly what to do, and I did it really fast and effectively. And today was one of those days. It just like I made an hour and a half of phone calls and emails, and everything came back in the afternoon and just like came into place. And that's the second time it's happened.
Good for you. Touch me with your Tinkerbell wand, please.
Tomorrow I might be back to confusion, but
that's great.
so it's sort of nice to know, because it's sort of like another situation where the person's going downhill, and it can look really bleak, and it's like all these clear clouds of uncertainty, and every once in a while it's just like, whoop, okay, do this,
Yeah, it's when it's sometimes it gets ready, It's like, it's not ready. When you don't know what to do, it's not ready.
Yeah. So that, I guess that's having the effect of making me feel more comfortable while I'm in the confused state.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, just kind of trusting that it'll kind of come clear.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. And then I really liked what you said at the beginning of the meditation, that, you know, this sort of like feeling your way in the dark and you only know one step at a time. That's really how life is. At least that's what I interpreted that you said. And that was sort of nice too, you know, just to like, oh yeah, there's no point in working so hard to try to plan and figure stuff out, and to more just trust.
Yeah.
That I'll know my way each step.
And sometimes that plan, even if you can tell it's imaginary, that's kind of you're feeling for that step too. It's like, oh, at least I've got a story that goes with this step. You know, I like that story, you know, and of course,
But
you
it
know,
really might not be at all. But it's comforting.
Yeah, and there's like creativity to the story too, in a way.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And you can imagine, some of that also, the like, imagining the best for someone is not in vain. Too, there's some way that those like, oh, it's it's a kindness to think to have those views as well. To have those like, oh yeah, I can see how this could work really well. Anyway, thank you.
It reminded me of what it's like being sober, and what I imagined was this still black pool of water, almost like in that movie, I forget what it's called, it's like Under the Skin, or and there's a scene where the main character is like walking across this glassy black water, and at any moment, you know, you're kind of like tentatively like stepping forth to, you know, okay, oh, am I going to use today? No, okay. But the quality of wanting to be able to find that stone is so slippery, and it's something that you have to be mindful of every day, even though it might be far behind you. That's kind of what came to mind for me, especially because a lot of the times I'm at NA meetings before I come here. So I was like, the 12 steps is like the 12 stones. So,
and
anyway,
you never run out of stones
never
either.
run out of stones. Keep looking for them in the dark. So yeah, I thought it was a really beautiful thing to think about tonight, so thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, and there's something, like there's a place for fear, there's a place for all emotions, and one of them is like, oh, that's a little, you know, that to step out onto something I don't know what it's like, and to be this day just as me, unadorned by, you know, whatever I used to feel, you know, that maybe I can try it just with my own feet. You know, that's, yeah, it's nice to say too. Thank you.
I've been told in the last few days to just trust the process.
They always say that, don't they?
And it just so happens that it reminds me of the stone and taking the next step, and how everyone is on a different stone
Right.
at the same time you are. And so definitely to take kindness and to possibly help another person on their stone to help you elevate your path down your stones. So, yeah, definitely kicks fear in the butt, knowing that you have to just trust in your path.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, like two wobbly people touch each other and they're both like solid. What's that? Like, yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
It was a refreshing, just go with the flow,
Mm-hmm.
the river that you're walking through.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that it's not supposed to be bright all the time, you know.
Right.
So
And
it's
it's
like,
okay to touch that water. It's okay
Yes.
to get your feet wet.
yeah, yeah. And it's also okay to look for a place where my foot is actually
Stable.
It's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. There's another stone and damp stone koan that's a different place. It goes, this is the stone drenched with rain that points the way. And that's really in it with all the dampness. But this one has the that there is also a process, a sequential. We're not just soaked. We also have there's things we do with our lives, you know. There are things we try and do. So what else?
Well, it's funny that you were saying that what comes up in the conversation is like the koan, because I haven't seen Lee in so long, and she was asking, "Oh, that you're both Lee." That Lee. Lee. And anyway, so we were catching up a little, and I it was like hard to get all the stone, like to recount all the stones that I feel like I've walked on since I've seen her last, you know, and so what you were saying about the water in that period, that moment of not knowing whether you're gonna freeze or melt or freeze, it feels like I was in that, and I definitely think I feel more like I was frozen and then I melted, like kind of like feel more like the water almost, you know, like rushing around and over the stones. And I've never noticed in this koan how it says you'll find the stone, and I felt like this longing, I think, to know the stone, because I feel like I've been almost like running on the stones.
Right, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's precarious and a little overwhelming. So to just recognize that I'm feeling that longing for, you find the stone, not just a stone. Yeah, something about that.
I got that too, actually, a little bit of like, oh, there's something delicious about, you know, about home. You know, that there could be a place I was at ease. I could, even if I'm still walking, you know, but there's like, I could find this. I could try stuff. This could be interesting. Yeah. Thank you.
I was traveling around for a lot of the summer, and a month in Japan, where it was actually raining almost all the time. Well, at least in the beginning it was raining a lot. And I was meeting lots of people in other people's houses, basically. And sometimes I didn't really feel like I was really welcomed.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of weird. And but I was stuck, basically. And then one day it was pouring so hard that nobody could do anything. Couldn't leave the house. And I realized I had been carrying a book that I hadn't even started yet. And I opened the book, and then the whole day I just read this book. And it was a terrific book. So that was, it reminds me when you said home, finding home.
Yeah.
That experience was like,
Aw.
whatever. It really felt like there was nothing I needed.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when maybe it was the last Harry Potter book came out, the day that I had to fly from Sweden to San Francisco. It was like, oh, I love you, book. But yeah, no, that's great. That's, yeah, and your appreciation for that. Something about the, like, not, you know, all the rocks are wobbly and pointy, and then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, this one's it's a flat one.
Yeah.
It's like I can stay here forever. Was that kind of, did it make the rest, were things a little smoother after that?
I think it probably did give me a confidence that was a little shaky coming
Mhm.
into it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I hadn't actually considered that, but I know that after, you know, the day was great, and then I was kind of like in a much better space.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, I think those, the thing about having a practice, I've noticed that often we tell ourselves that being uncomfortable is the important feature of practice or something. I mean, and you know, you come by it through the tradition of like everybody sitting in pain for hours, but or days or the rest of your life, or you know. But for me, the deal is you've got to make it comfort. You've got to find your comfort spot, because if you're going to keep doing this, you need to find the way it works for you. You need to look after yourself. I mean, there's moments to go out to a cliff edge, but you can't be there all the time, and you want to keep make it all the way to the finish line if there's one. You want to be able to keep doing this, and part of that is noticing what does it take? What does it take for me today? I mean, also like what you're talking about, like what do I need today? How do I do this? The be kind to yourself part of practice, I think we sometimes miss. And where's the joy? What's the beloved? What's the, yeah. How do I feed myself? Anybody else want to talk about how are some of the sometimes the koan will bring in other stuff like the uncomfortableness or the thing. It's just like, well, it won't work here. I can't, and it's interesting to go there too. Like, where's my, I had a fight with the koan. I was mad at it. Twisted my ankle on that koan. But because that's a part of it too, in a way, is it shows you the place where an opening is possible. It's not always the comforting thing. Sometimes it's like the edgy thing, and it'll take you to the edgy place. And I've come to trust that as well. So, yeah. Well, it's one thing we could do is we could sit for a few more minutes before we go. Normally we do announcements. Does anybody besides me know the? I bet you know what's that coming up, Andy. Do you want to do announcements?
I'll give it a shot. All right. We have a retreat coming up. It is down at Mount Madonna. What are the dates? It's in
October.
October, right?
14th to 19th.
All right. October 14th to 19th. It's 5 days this time. So if you're interested in that, we'll probably have another couple retreats as well up on the website, so you can go to pacificzen.org and see some of that. If you'd like an email about once a week, just about what's going on here, there's an email list in the back that you can add your name to and your email to. There's also a donation box by the door, and that's how we keep the lights on and buy all this tea. Let me think. Rachel, how much longer are you meeting people on?
I'll be here on Thursday, so I will have meditation from 12 to 1 on Thursday.
All right, yeah. So we
And
have
then-
our Thursday lunchbox meditation from 12 to 1, and Rachel meets people as well that day, so if you'd like to meet one-on-one with her, talk to her. What else? Do we have anything else going on? We also meet, in addition to Mondays and Thursdays, we also meet Sundays from 10:30 to 12 most Sundays.
Thank you. Excellent.
Next week, is next week September?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
next week is John, right?
Yep.
No, that just was yesterday. Oh,
Well,
next
Yeah,
week, that's
next week.
Too many Johns.
Next
Next-
Monday's a
Intro.
holiday.
So next week will be John.
Oh, you're right.
On Labor Day Monday,
Still open.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
we'll be open, and it's Labor Day weekend. But yes, come in on Monday 7 to 9. John Tarrant giving a talk.
And class.
It's not his own holiday.
That's right. No
Oh,
days
yes.
off.
And free introduction to meditation call-ins from 6 to 7 on the first Monday of the month as well. So we manage this. Thank you.
Tag team.
So let's just sit for another 5 minutes, because it's really nice to go out with just a little bit more meditation in us. So you don't have to sit any special way. It's only 5 minutes. Step by step in the dark. If my foot's not wet, I found the stone. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. See you soon. And if you have a teacup and you want to put it in the dishwasher, you will be blessed.